She was gasping for air, clutching her throat like she was trying to keep her soul inside her body. Her face was turning a violent, bruised shade of purple. The ambulance lights were already flashing through the front window, painting the dining room walls in rhythm. Red, blue, red, blue. My wife was screaming at me, calling me a monster, her voice cracking with hysteria. But I just sat there, calm, unmoving. I watched the woman who tried to destroy me suffer the exact fate she had designed for me. I took a sip of my water. It was cool, crisp, and it tasted like victory. My name is Jack, and I didn't poison my mother-in-law. I just let her eat her own cooking. If you are watching this video, please like and subscribe to my channel and tell me in the comments where you are listening to my story of justice from. I want to know how far it traveled. The house always smelled like stale lavender and judgment whenever she was around. Martha, my mother-in-law. She wasn't just a guest in my home, she was an occupation force. She had been staying with us for a month, supposedly to help my wife, Sarah, recover from surgery. But mostly, she just rearranged my kitchen, criticized my paycheck, and drove a wedge between me and my wife. I'm a forensic accountant. I find hidden money for a living. I notice details that other people miss. Small things, like the way Martha stopped talking whenever I walked into a room, or the way she smirked when she handed me a cup of coffee. I stopped drinking her coffee 3 days ago. But tonight was supposed to be a peace offering, a special dinner, her famous spicy curry. I knew better. I came home early that day, 4:15 p.m. The house was quiet, too quiet. I walked toward the kitchen, my socks silent on the hardwood floor. Through the crack in the door, I saw her, Martha. She was standing over the stove, stirring the pot. She looked over her shoulder, checking for witnesses like a criminal. Then she reached into her pocket. She didn't pull out a spice jar. She pulled out a small glass vial. She poured the liquid into one specific bowl. She stirred it in, humming a little tune, a tune of pure malice. Then she ladled the safe curry into a second identical white bowl. She placed them on the counter, left side for poison, right side for safe. My stomach dropped. I backed away, silent as a ghost. I went back to my car and I waited. Dinner was served at 6 sharp. The atmosphere was heavy, thick enough to choke on. Sarah was still weak, smiling, trying to keep the peace between her husband and her mother. Martha played the role of the doting grandmother perfectly. She brought the bowls out to the table. 2 identical white porcelain bowls. You couldn't tell them apart, but I knew. I watched her place the bowl from the left side of the tray in front of me. She placed the bowl from the right side in front of her empty chair. She smiled at me, a smile that didn't reach her cold, dead eyes. "Eat up, Jack," she said. "You look tired." I looked at the curry. It smelled normal, but I knew it was a loaded gun. I waited. I needed a distraction, and then the universe provided one. The landline phone rang in the hallway. Martha jumped. She hated that noise. "I'll get it," she snapped, annoyed that her performance was interrupted. She turned her back and walked into the hall. That was my window. 1 second. I moved fast. My hand didn't shake. I took my bowl and I switched it with hers. The bowls were identical. Same scratches on the rim, same steam rising off the top. I sat back, folding my hands on the table. Martha came back, grumbling. "Wrong number," she muttered. She sat down in front of the bowl. My bowl. The bowl she had poisoned. She didn't notice. Why would she? She thought she was the smartest person in the room. She picked up her spoon. "Well," she said, looking at me with expectant eyes, "aren't you hungry?" I smiled, a real smile. "After you, Martha," I said. "Ladies first." She took the first bite, swallowed. She watched me, waiting for me to eat, waiting for me to choke. I took a slow bite of my food. It was delicious, safe. She took another bite, then a third. It happened fast. Her eyes went wide. She dropped her spoon. It clattered against the porcelain. She grabbed her stomach. A guttural sound, like an animal in a trap, escaped her throat. My chest, she wheezed. Sarah panicked. Mom? Mom? Martha pointed a shaking finger at me. She gasped. He did this. Even while dying, she was framing me. The ambulance took her away. It was a severe allergic reaction, they said later. Concentrated peanut oil. I'm deathly allergic to peanuts. She knew that. She had tried to send me to the hospital or the morgue. Instead, she sent herself. But the fallout was immediate. Sarah wouldn't listen to reason. She was hysterical. I saw you touch the bowls, she screamed. You did something. You tried to kill her. I tried to explain self-defense. I tried to explain the vial I saw. But grief makes people deaf. Get out, Sarah said. Her voice was cold. Get out of my house, now. I looked at her. I saw the fear in her eyes. She believed her mother. Eviction. It's a cold, ugly word. It sounds like scraping metal against bone. I packed a bag. Just the essentials. My laptop, my suits, my dignity. I walked out of the house I paid for, into the cool, damp night air. I checked into a Motel 6 by the highway. The room smelt like stale cigarette smoke and bad decisions. The carpet was sticky. I sat on the edge of the sagging bed, staring at the beige wall. I had lost my home, my wife. My reputation was hanging by a thread. Most men would have broken. Most men would have begged for forgiveness they didn't need. But I'm not most men. I'm a man who deals in facts. And the fact was, I was alive. The first week was the hardest. The silence in that motel room was loud. I slept little. I ate cheap diner food that tasted like grease and regret. But I didn't wallow in self-pity. I worked. I buried myself in my cases. I had a client, a large manufacturing firm, that suspected their CFO was skimming off the top. I pored over their ledgers at 3 a.m., my eyes burning, the blue light of the laptop the only illumination in the room. I was looking for patterns, anomalies. It was a distraction from the wreck of my personal life. It was the only thing I could control. Numbers don't lie. People do. I found it on a Tuesday. A shell company in the Caymans. The CFO had moved $3 million over 5 years. I felt a surge of adrenaline. It was the first time I had felt anything other than anger in weeks. I presented the findings to the board. They were stunned. They offered me a bonus, a massive bonus, $50,000 on the spot. I took the check. I held it in my hand. It felt like armor. I used that money to get an apartment, a small studio in the city. Clean lines, modern furniture, quiet. No lavender smell, no judgment, just me and the silence. I bought a new suit, Italian wool, tailored. I got a haircut. I started to rebuild my life, brick by brick. Not out of sorrow, but out of spite. Success is the only revenge that lasts. I focused on my breathing, on my routine. I became a machine. I woke up at 5 a.m. Run, coffee, work, sleep, repeat. I blocked Sarah's number. I blocked Martha's number. I didn't want to hear their excuses. I didn't want to hear their lies. I was a ghost to them, but I kept tabs. I knew people. I knew how to find things out without asking. 3 months passed. I heard rumors. Small towns talk, and they love a scandal. Martha survived, barely. She was out of the hospital, back in my house, my old house. Sarah was struggling. The mortgage was in my name, but I had stopped paying it. Why should I pay for a roof that shelters my enemy? I sent a legal notice, assumption of liability. If Sarah wanted the house, she had to pay for it. She couldn't. I knew her finances. I used to manage them. She was a teacher, good at her job, but she didn't have the capital to float a 4-bedroom house in the suburbs. Without my income, they were sinking. I watched from a distance, a silent observer. I saw the foreclosure notices start to pile up in the mailbox. I saw the grass grow long and unruly. The lights were dim at night. It looked tired, just like them. I felt a pang of sadness, sure. That house was supposed to be our forever home. We had picked out the paint colors together. We had planted the oak tree in the back. But then I remembered the peanut oil. I remembered the look in Martha's eyes as she poured it, and the sadness turned to steel. I let the repo man come. I let the pressure build. Then the real trouble started for them. It wasn't just money, it was legal. Martha, in her arrogance, had tried to sue a grocery store for a slip-and-fall accident 6 months prior. It was a fake claim. She wanted easy money. She was greedy. But the grocery store had cameras, and they had expensive lawyers. They countersued for fraud, massive insurance fraud. They dug into her past. They found debts. They found lies. They were going to take everything she had. And because she was living with Sarah and their finances were entangled, they were coming for Sarah's assets too. They were drowning, and they didn't just need a lifeguard. They needed a miracle. My phone rang at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. It was a blocked number. I knew who it was. I let it ring. Once, twice, 3 times. I picked up on the 4th ring. "Hello," I said. My voice was gravel. "Jack," Sarah whispered. She was crying, not the angry crying from the night of the eviction. This was the broken, desperate sobbing of a woman who has hit rock bottom. "Please, they're going to take the house. They're going to put Mom in jail." I sat up in bed. I turned on the lamp. The light was warm, steady. "Why are you calling me, Sarah?" I asked. "Because," she said, her voice trembling, "you're the only one who knows how to fix this. You're the only one who understands the law like this. You're the only one who—" The money. I didn't answer immediately. I let the silence hang there, heavy, suffocating. I wanted her to feel the weight of the last 6 months. "You kicked me out," I said finally. "You chose her. You chose the woman who tried to poison me." Sarah gasped. "I know," she sobbed. "I found the vial. I found it in her purse last week. I know, Jack, I'm so sorry. I was blind." An admission, finally. But sorry doesn't pay the rent, and sorry doesn't fix a broken trust. "If you want my help," I said, "it's going to cost you." "Anything," she said. "We'll do anything." I told her to meet me at my office, 9 a.m., sharp. Bring Martha. I hung up. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I prepared the paperwork. 17. I wasn't going to fix this for free. I wasn't going to be the doormat anymore. I was going to be the hammer. When they walked into my office the next morning, they looked like ghosts. Sarah was thin, pale. Her eyes were red. Martha looked old, defeated. She was in a wheelchair, frail and small. She wouldn't meet my eyes. She sat in the chair like a prisoner awaiting sentencing. My office was impressive. Glass walls, mahogany desk. I sat behind it, flanked by my success. "Here is the situation," I said, sliding a folder across the desk. "The fraud case is solid. You will lose. You will go to prison. Unless," I paused, "unless we can prove mental incompetence on Martha's part and settle the civil suit immediately." Sarah looked at me with hope. "Can you pay it?" she asked. I leaned back. "I can, But I won't. Not as a gift. I pulled out a second document, a contract. This is a transfer of deed. The house becomes mine, solely mine. You both move out, within 30 days. Martha slammed her frail hand on the desk. "You can't do that!" she screeched. The old venom was still there, bubbling under the surface. I looked at her, coldly. "I can," I said, "and I will. Or you can go to prison, and Sarah can go bankrupt. Those are your options. Pick one." Martha looked at Sarah. Sarah looked at the floor. Then Sarah looked at me. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." Martha gasped. "Sarah, you can't let him!" Sarah cut her off. "Shut up, Mom. You did this. You tried to hurt him. You lied. Just shut up." The signing was quiet, just the scratch of the pen on paper. I watched them sign away their sanctuary. It felt necessary, like lancing a boil. When it was done, I stood up. "I will handle the settlement with the grocery store lawyers," I said. "You have 30 days to vacate the property." "Leave the keys on the counter." Sarah stood up. She lingered for a moment. "Jack," she said softly, Is there any chance for us?" I looked at the woman I had loved for 20 years. I saw the regret, but I also saw the weakness. "No," I said. "You made your choice when you looked at the bowls and didn't ask questions." The move-out day was rainy, fitting. I sat in my car across the street, the wipers counting time. Swish, swish. I watched them load the U-Haul. Martha looked small. The arrogance was gone, replaced by the crushing reality of consequences. Sarah looked tired. She saw my car. She raised a hand, a small wave. I didn't wave back. I just started the engine. I had business to attend to. I had a house to renovate. I was going to scrub every inch of that place. I was going to burn the lavender candles. I was going to reclaim my space. The settlement cost me a chunk of savings, about $40,000. But the equity in the house was worth 10 times that. It was a good investment. Ruthless? Maybe. But business is business, and survival is personal. I moved back in a month later. The silence in the house was different now. It wasn't lonely. It was peaceful. I cooked my own dinner that first night. A steak, medium rare. No spices I didn't add myself. I sat at the head of the table, the same table where she tried to end me. A few weeks later, I got a letter. No return address. It was from Martha. A handwritten note on cheap paper. "I'm sorry," it read. "I was jealous. I wanted you gone. I got what I deserved." I read it twice. Then I walked to the fireplace. I tossed the letter into the flames. I watched the paper curl, turn black, and turn to ash. Apologies are words. Actions are truth. Her action was poison. My action was survival. The fire was warm. It felt like closure. People ask me if I'm lonely. A man my age, living alone in a big house? I tell them no. I have my work. I have my peace. I have the knowledge that I cannot be broken. Trust is a currency, and I spent mine on the wrong people. Now, I keep my vault locked. I have a dog now, a German shepherd named Justice. Loyal, alert. We eat dinner together. He checks my food, I check his. We have an understanding. So here is the lesson, the hard truth. Family isn't blood. Family isn't a marriage certificate. Family is respect. And when that respect is violated, when your safety is threatened, you owe them nothing. Not loyalty, not money, not mercy. You owe yourself survival. You swap the plates. You let them eat their own poison. and you don't look back when the ambulance comes. This is Jack signing off. Watch your back, watch your bowl, and never apologize for winning.